let's get started then. So here we are again. So today, in this photo, I think we can see, I guess it's a man holding his phone. And we were just discussing what kind of phone this is. So which phone or what phone is this, do you think, Ruslan?
Yeah, in my opinion, I guess it is iPhone 7.
iPhone
Um,
7. Hmm.
yeah, and they were popular probably around 5 years ago.
Oh dear, is it that old, do you think? God dear.
Yeah, I think yeah it is
Yeah.
old. Yeah, but still now people use it. Yeah, I saw a lot of iPhone 7 in a bus and train.
Even now, in say
Even
this
even
year.
now,
Yeah.
even now, yeah.
Yeah, well, they still work, I guess. And I should be honest that with my phone, it was a Samsung. It wasn't an iPhone. I think I had it for about get almost 10 years. Well, not my first phone, but it's probably my second or third phone. It was, I thought it was that good. It was roughly this size as well. Do you think you can sort of fall in love with a device? You just love how it works. It's so
Mm,
convenient. It's the right size, and or no?
yeah,
Do you always want the best phone that you can get, sort of thing? Or?
not actually, but you know what? I prefer to keep mobile phone around 3 years, and then
Hmm.
I want to have update.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to say that I can
Mhm.
personalize it for the long period of time.
Mm.
No, just for 3 years, for 4 years.
Mm. So are you saying that you like to personalize the phone?
Yeah,
So you set it up
personalized.
exactly as you like with all the icons in the right places and the search function wherever it is you want it. Is that what you mean when you say
Yeah,
personalize?
yeah, I wanted to
S-
say it.
So you have it for about 3 or 4 years, and then you want to upgrade to the next phone that
Yeah,
you hopefully that you fancy, I guess. So do you want to just practice the word personalize? So
okay.
personalize.
Per, personalize,
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's getting better. So
personalize.
yeah. So yeah, that's how I would say. I am saying person. I think I'm saying person, and then I'm saying lies, personalize.
Okay, personalize, personalize.
Yeah, you're getting it. You're getting it. I think you'll get it there eventually. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Okay. So I think
We can.
The Americans love a Z in there. So they might put a Z, but the Brits often use an S. These sorts of situations. Yeah. So if you remember, we'll come back to that word and do it again at the end of the class, hopefully. So we're using some of these other words previously before we got started. So let's get back to the photo. So here we are on the photo. Um, I want to get rid of this thing now. How do I get rid of it? There we go. It's gone. So this is a Getty's photo, a Getty's photo. And so where do we think this is, this photo? Whereabouts in the world do you think they may have taken this photo?
I think it is a line in an
Mm,
airport where people uh,
mm,
have to put their stuff on a line to check
mm,
it.
mm. Yeah, that's it. That's exactly it. So you said airport. I think it's what we said.
Airport,
So air. I'm really saying air and then port. Simple as that. Airport.
airport.
Airport. Yeah. And then a line you mentioned. So the Americans talk about in a line as a queue. So when you queue up for something, you're in a line. So the Americans say line, and we tend to say queue in Britain. But I
Okay.
think it's the way you said it, it was okay, really. So they're all in a line. I think you said yes. The way you said it was okay. So just mention it in passing, really. And as I think you implying they were getting ready for security. So they have to look at their. So what happens at security then?
Sorry? Can you say it
So
again?
they're in a line and they're getting out there and they're getting being checked for security. So what
Yeah.
happens at security then?
Yeah, you will be asked
Mm.
to put your stuff on on the conveyor.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then you will need probably, as I remember from my last time, I need take off belts as
Mm.
well, and then go through the door. We can say like this door, which uh,
Door, isn't it? Or
door which
yeah.
scan your body.
Mm.
And normally, I guess they can ask you as well to take off your shoes.
Oh yes, your
And
shoes. Okay.
yeah, and then uh, yeah, then you will pass, and you will wait for the your stuff.
Mm. Yeah, that sounds pretty good, I would say. I think you got it there. That's very good. So you put your stuff on the conveyor belt. So conveyor. So this is in this photo here, I think where my cursor is, this sort of whitey grey thing here. So this probably moves along slowly down to this machine at the end. So this machine at the end is probably an X-ray machine. And
Yeah,
so they X-rays whatever you put in here so they can see if there's any sort of devices inside your books, wallet, or mobile phone maybe to see if if there's anything illegal inside of them. Um,
yeah, true, true.
so this is referred to as the conveyor belt. So so and you said you
Mhm.
take sometimes you have to take off your belt, and this on here this surface is sometimes referred to as a conveyor belt. So are you
Okay,
okay with the word conveyor?
conveyor,
Yeah, yeah. So it's got a V there in the middle somewhere after conveyor.
uh, conveyor.
Okay. Can you do the V a little bit more clearly? So it's sort of a bit woolly, your V. It's a bit sort of unclear that sound when you get to the V in the word conveyor. I'm overdoing it now, so conveyor, conveyor. Try it again,
Con,
maybe.
conveyor, conveyor.
Yeah, okay. You're getting there. You're getting there. It's still a little bit. It sounds a little bit like a W.
Oh,
So
okay,
it's only slightly. So using my lower lip to press
okay.
up to my upper teeth to get that v. And when you get that sudden burst, that v, that's when I'm letting dropping my lower lip away from my teeth, and there's a sudden burst of air coming out. So with my lower lip, I'm pressing it up against my upper teeth v, v, to get that sound. V, v.
Conveyor.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds really nice. That's it. Yeah, yeah. So just a reminder then. I think you've got that pretty
Conveyor.
much there. But of course, as always, it's hard to remember to do it when you're talking, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, okay, so we've talked about this little photo. Maybe we'll go on to the article that relates with this photo. Okay, so as I said, this is a Getty's photo. So Getty was a very, very wealthy man, and he set up this library of photos, and we're looking at one of his photos now.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah,
Okay.
like a multi-billionaire, and he set up a library, a photo library. So here it is. Here it says, "Picture Getty Images." So you can search online, and there's a website, Getty's Images, and I think you have to pay for them, I think.
Okay. And he's from London, yeah, I guess.
I think originally, well, the Getty family, I think of it as being an American family. They're incredibly wealthy. I think they earned their money through oil, and there's some amazing stories with the Getty's family. Perhaps we ought to look into some of these stories. But we can't go. We can't do everything that we want at any one time. But it's
Yeah, yeah.
a very interesting family, and so to now have a library full of images which newspapers and perhaps even on the television sometimes use, and I'm clearly using one here. It's completely got nothing to do with what they originally started doing, and I think this is the son. Well, the next generation of the Gettys family. But I think it's actually, I think it's two members of the Gettys family related with this. But okay, so let's scroll on then. Oh, let's quickly mention where it's come from then. So this is the Metro newspaper. So this is obviously the online version, but most tube stations or metros, you might say, but we call the tube, we call it the tube in London. This is not handed out so much, but it's there for people to take for free, the Metro newspaper. So, and there appears to be this lady here called Sophie May Williams. So when I look at this name and that photo, I can't help but think, is this really an AI that has put this article together? So maybe we'll read the article and we'll see if it is if we'll come to a conclusion at the end, maybe this is an AI personality, which is a bit sad because Sophie may actually exist. I may be really highly insulted about that we think she might be an AI, but we'll think about that at the end. So I'll read the first little bit here, then it's your go to read maybe the first next couple of paragraphs, and then I'll read some bit after that for you. So we'll swap around a little bit. Okay, this is
Okay.
my one then. So we've all been there, rocking up to the airport for an early morning flight, only to realize you forgot to charge your phone overnight. Okay. So I guess the weird words there might be rocking up.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. Do you have an idea what it might mean? So we've all been there. We've all been there, rocking up to the airport for an early morning flight, and then something goes
Mm,
wrong, sort of thing.
I guess it is probably to be in a hurry. Yeah.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I think that's sort of what it often can mean. It can mean in a hurry. But in this, I think it sort of means also, it means it's one of those things that can mean a few different things. Well, let's search it actually. So I would say often it means just turning up very relaxed, casual, a little bit disorganized, and
Mm,
not being very with it. And probably being a bit late as well. Probably should have been there early. So rock up. So a quick trans. Yeah, definition one, to arrive somewhere, yeah, rock up. So it's like turn up, to arrive. That's what the sort of, that's an idea. Then it says to arrive somewhere. No, that's all it says. Oh, here we go. So this dictionary here says, so rock up, definition, verb, to arrive late or unannounced. So so it's sort of disorganized. So you're going on a holiday, a little bit disorganized. See examples of rocks up. So maybe
okay, disorganized.
disorganized. So if you're going
Disorganized.
on holiday, you want to know exactly where your money is, your phone is, you want your phone charged up,
Yeah.
you want to have your tickets ready, your passport ready. So it's all about organization. So, but this is being somewhat disorganized.
Okay.
So let's click on this definition here. Let's just try and be a little bit more organized than I have been, I should say. So I've just clicked on the Collins's dictionary. Let's hope it's giving a. Oh, it's saying to arrive late or unannounced. So if you're late, you probably are disorganized, aren't you? So it's a few little different things I would suggest. It's not really clear. It's
It's
one of those
actually
things that, yeah, go on.
it's actually about arriving, yeah?
Yeah,
Rock up.
rock up. So turn up and rock up are similar. So when I say turn up means to arrive somewhere. So if I turn up late, it means I've arrived late. Does that make sense? And rocking up,
Okay.
it sort of
Okay.
implies it in a different way. So, but it's also this idea of being a bit casual, not very well organized, possibly no, not definitely late, possibly late. Um, it could have been better. It looks like you couldn't really care less. That sort of, I suppose that's the idea, maybe. So let's read a couple of these and see if we can extract what the meaning is. So he rocked up with 8 minutes to spare and just about squeezed in on the back row. So that looks like he's a bit disorganized and is on the verge of being late because he just about squeezed in on the back row rather than say the front row. The front row might be
No,
the
okay.
early people. The back row is the people who are last, I guess. So it says, I just rocked up on the red carpet. So I'd say that's I just turned up boldly on the red carpet.
This appear, we can say appear as well, no? I just
Yeah, that
appear
would
and
fit. Yeah, that pretty much would fit in, I think there. But I think turn up sounds better. It fits a bit better with the sort of context. If it said you appeared, there's some different ideas that sort of come in the back of your mind. It doesn't this one seems to work better, I think. If you say turn up or rock up, it seems to work a little bit better there. It's not too far apart though. So what's this one say? So, but if I have to rock up anywhere, it goes awry. So if something goes awry, it goes wrong. Something's gone wrong. So, and if something's gone wrong, it's because it wasn't organized properly. So but if I have to rock up somewhere, it goes wrong, let's say. So it's lots of different sort of hidden meanings in there. It's one of those things that isn't really quite clear, I would say, as a word. So maybe just one more. So the one thing you can't do ever is just rock up and eat. So in this sense here, it's just turn up without being announced, I would say, the meaning hidden in here. Rock up. So it's there's several different meanings. So it could be just turn up unannounced. It could be turn up late. It could be turn up almost late. It could be there but be disorganized, not ready. So there's a few different things in there, isn't there? That's what I would say. So, but the top up here, they are the meaning up here. They're just saying to arrive late or unannounced. But I say but they do say informal. And so when something's informal, it's not sort of, again, it's sort of not sort of properly accepted as a meaning. So
it's a
it's sort of
simple.
developing the meaning, you might say. So in a couple of years' time, maybe 10, 20 years' time, it may be definitely mean just one of these things or two of these things rather than these few things I've just mentioned. So, and we saw that when we were looking at here, it wasn't quite, there was a few different meanings, wasn't it? So it just says to arrive somewhere. And then it says to arrive somewhere, I guess late, I think is their one there.
Yeah, yeah,
But
there
they
was.
mention nothing here about being been unannounced, does it? So,
Yeah, unannounced,
so
no.
I'm saying there's like difference in meaning and they're not quite sure in a sense. Well, we spent ages on that now, so let's just go back there. It's only one word, isn't it? And okay. So we've all been there. Rock up to the airport for an early morning flight, only to realize you forgot to charge your phone overnight. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's definitely disorganized, isn't it? And the
yeah,
th and
but
yeah, go on.
then in nowadays it is not problem because in airport you can easily to find a cable for your iPhone
Mm.
for your phone.
Yeah, so you sound organized, but this person, even though there is, you can charging at the airport, they still haven't got their phone charged. And they had a chance to. So they're really disorganized. Okay, so you just said airport there. So, but I think you're sort of you're seeing an R in there in the word, and you're really overdoing the R. And in English, it's a very quiet R. Even it's not probably even silent, I would say. So this word here, I pronounce this, and most people would pronounce it as airport, air.
Airport.
Yeah, air. That's it. Yeah, you got that. Yeah. So air. And maybe a very long time ago, it would have been pronounced. I can't spell, can I? Let's put this word in. So let's actually search that word just because.
Mm,
So now here you would pronounce the R. Let's just stick this into the dictionary. I know this is being a bit silly now.
airport.
Measure for some reason. Have I spelled that? Yeah, I spelled it wrong, haven't I? My spelling's
Mm,
appalling, is it? Um,
Aero. It's actually
no,
something means, yeah? Aero.
no. Well, apparently it doesn't mean that. So,
Ah,
but so let's look up aeroplane. No, aerophone. I can't see that. Oh, how strange. It's got the word airport there. Yeah, so um, let's just look up the word. Well, let's look up airport. That's what we're really looking up, isn't it? So I got distracted. I get very easily distracted. So let's listen to them saying it. So I would say the R is basically silent. I think some people do put a very slight R sound there, but it's I would recommend try to avoid it really. But let's listen to how they say it anyway. Here we go.
airport,
We'll try again.
airport,
Airport, airport. So sort of ignore the R sound. It's just air, and then port. Okay. So just want to say it again. Airport.
airport.
You think you've got it? You think you have it? You think or no?
Let me say it again. Airport.
Yeah, I think it sounds pretty good. You see, once again, I can't quite hear what you're saying at the beginning. I think it might be just Zoom or the internet or the phone or something. See, your voice is a bit dead at the beginning, and it's not because you're dead, it's because the internet or the phone or whatever isn't quite working. So I can hear the end of the word quite clearly,
Really?
but the beginning of the word is a bit dead for me. So, and a lot of the time, the first word you say, I can't really quite hear it quite properly. But it's not. I don't think it's my hearing or anything. But I think it's just the. I think it's the
Yes,
internet or the
device.
phone and all these devices working together. Yeah, but I think so. That's why I'm asking you. Do you think you have it? Because I can't always hear it. So yeah, I think you've got it though. So he's rocking up at the airport. So just turning up. And the
Mhm.
reason for that, I guess, really, because it's an early morning flight. So who wants to
You.
get up at 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning to sort of have one and a half hour travel in a car to the airport? And you've got to be organized beforehand, have your phone charged. Yeah, I can well understand that their phone isn't charged. Okay, so I've spent ages talking about that. But let's go straight on then. Over to you. Your turn now.
And while first two might be what I am going to do to pass the time on the plane now. Many don't realize that a dead battery can cause bigger problem than having to ragdoll it. Ragdoll it. There is a
And the last bit here, maybe. Might as well say the
okay.
last one. So that's
There
two.
is because traveling with a phone, laptop, or any electric device on 0% is against the rules at airport security. Oh,
Okay.
in yes, um, and or any electronic device on the 0%
Yeah.
is against the rules at airport security.
Yes, you were perfect then. That was absolutely perfect. Yes, airport. That's it. Yeah. So the R in air is just to trick you. It's just to trick you. It tricks a lot of people, but okay. Yeah, so you learned something there. So 0%
Mm,
is a no-no.
mm,
Yeah. So, but I guess I think if you've got it on your person, you've got it in your pocket or in your wallet or something, that then it's a problem. But that's only, I think that's when it's a problem. So if it's in your luggage, they won't bother. I think.
Ah,
Hopefully the article will
hmm.
tell us. But there you go.
Yeah, okay.
So okay then. So any other words and things here you want to go back over or ask
Mm.
about?
Yeah,
Hmm.
on the plane, yeah,
Plane, yes.
plane.
Plane. Hmm. Oh, about the word plane. So
Uh, yeah,
yeah. So that when they say plane, they mean the airplane or the aeroplane, to use a very old word. So airplane, that's the craft you get on that takes you from where you are to your holiday destination or that sort of thing.
yeah. It is actually when um yeah, it is actually we can say the road, yeah, from one place to the another place.
The road, when they say plane, this is the airplane that has the wings on it and the jet engines and shoots up into the sky and takes you hundreds of miles away.
Yes, yes,
Yeah? Yeah,
okay.
so not the road, no. Is that what
Yeah.
you're saying? Did I misunderstand? I might have misunderstood because I got distracted then.
Yeah, I wanted to say, yeah, a bit different. It is, yeah, I understand. Yeah, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
And
Okay.
how about having to red dog it?
Yeah, so just like they said, rocking up. This phrase here and this raw dog it, I would say they're sort of informal sort of things you might say in the pub. These are things you might say in the pub, I think, really, or see on X or Twitter, this sort of a thing, or
Okay.
Instagram. So when people say raw dog it, actually it's actually in exactly this situation. I think this is kind of this word was invented for the situation. So you're stuck in a situation where your phone is dead at 0% and you've got nothing to do. You're bored stiff. That's raw dogging it. Raw dogging or raw dog.
Okay. It's,
Raw
yeah.
dog it. So I think it we could search it really, but I think it's to do with your eyes being dog tired, dog bored. Sometimes, if a way to emphasize something, you might say, I'm dog tired, I'm dog bored. So you might say dog. And to me, this implies tiredness, boredom, lots of different things, I suppose. So let's quickly search it then. Um, Yes, they're saying slang. That's a pretty good way of putting it. Yeah. So, what does raw dog mean? Raw dog is a slang term that means to endure a difficult, dull, or mundane activity without diversions or any other support while doing it. So, it's exactly this situation of being stuck in an airport or being on an airplane and having nothing to do for, say, 2 hours when you're on an airplane, nothing to read, no films to watch, and your phone is dead.
Okay. It
So
is
you're
like a
bored
bad
stiff.
day. Yeah, but
Yeah, yeah, but it's raw dogging it. I think it really implies this feeling of being really with it. What it says here, it says, "Oh blast! I clicked on something by accident." It said about I clicked on. So it's come up with a photo of an airplane again. So I think this is something that is on X and YouTube, and so let's quickly look at it here. We've got raw dog here. So what is raw dogging, and why are people doing it on planes? So we could read this whole article, but it's just being bored stiff on an airplane, not really doing anything, not having anything to read. Yeah. So let's quickly have a look here. So, oh yeah, so it's on TikTok. I said experts on TikTok according to this. So it's called raw dogging. The word dogging has a different context, a sort of a sexual context. So I would tend to try to use raw dog and,
Okay.
and avoid the phrase dogging because there's a sexual meaning to that,
Yeah.
a bit of a rude sexual meaning. Most rude sexual things are rude, aren't they, somehow? So so they're saying it's called raw dogging, a new trend that's blowing up on the social media platforms, that was TikTok, particularly among males, requiring people to sit through a long haul flight with zero distractions or forms of entertainment. This means no phones, movies, music, books, or even sleep, food and water. Oh my goodness, that's taking it too far. If people can just sit there for hours without any stimuli, they get instant they get instant bragging rights, and we imagine a new appreciation for life's little pleasures. Does that make sense, what I've just read out?
Yeah, yeah. Now I
Okay.
understand, yeah, what it
Yeah.
means.
Okay. Okay. So it's slightly different what I was my sort of take on it. But I think this is it's a little bit teenagers and people in their 20s wouldn't really suffer from sitting still without doing anything. But
Mm.
actually, as you get older, if you don't do anything, don't drink water, you can be a bit on the dangerous side. So I don't recommend that. Yeah, but this is for fun, isn't it? So, okay. So that's raw. And see, this is a British newspaper. She's not saying raw dogging. She's missed out the G-I-N-G on the end of it because that has a completely different connotation, something sexual, as I said. So, but raw dog, yeah, I think that's the way the Brits would talk about it. Yeah, that's a spot on, I would say there. So, anything else that's sort of vaguely interesting in there, in that little bit there? Um, laptop.
Actually, no.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's it, really, isn't it? Okay. Okay. Yeah, so I'll read the next bit then. And
Okay.
you ask me if there's anything interesting here, or I'll say if there is anything. So airport staff must be able to see devices for turned on for safety reasons and to confirm that they're not a security risk. Then it says uncharged or broken devices could potentially conceal illicit materials or hidden explosives. If you can't switch it on, staff can confiscate the device and even deny boarding. Okay. So let me just read through that again slowly and I'll say what I think it means. So airport staff must be able to see devices turned on safely, turned on for safety reasons and to confirm that they're not a security risk. It's interesting they're saying airport staff. So is that the same as airport security? Airport staff? Oh, so it's not the plane. So it's not the carrier. So it's not Virgin Atlantic who wants to see your phone, I guess. They're saying it's people in the airport must do this. So they're just seeing that the phone turns on, and if it turns on, they know it's a real phone, don't they? I suppose. The fact they can see it turns on, that confirms that it's not a security risk if it turns on for them anyway. And so clearly, if it's broken or uncharged, it can't turn on. So the first sort of small paragraph here is giving the sort of it will turn on, I guess. And the second paragraph down here is kind of is talking about it if it won't turn on or is broken or something. Um, Okay,
Yeah.
so uncharged or broken devices could potentially conceal. So conceal, you could say hide. Hide is another word for conceal,
Okay. All right.
hide. And illicit is sort of something that shouldn't be there, something that's illegal in that situation.
Illicit. illicit, yeah,
So illicit. So I'm putting a t on the end of it. So illicit, illicit.
illicit.
Yeah. So you've got an I and then a double L, like ill, like you're sick or something. Ill. So I'm saying that's really what I'm saying. Ill. So I'm saying illicit, illicit, illicit.
Illicit.
So it probably comes from illegal, I would say. They might not do, but it's sort of vaguely similar, aren't they? Illegal and illicit, sort of, they're almost the same word, really, in meaning, I should say. Um,
Okay.
but you might have something at sort of work. So say at work that you have a job where you're not allowed to have your mobile phone out during work hours. You can only use it in your lunch hour, maybe. You might say that's illicit. You might just say
Okay.
that's illicit. So technically, it's not
Yes.
illegal. The police won't arrest you, but it's just that it shouldn't be done at work. So that's another way of using it. You could perhaps say. It's a little bit unusual to say that, but that's just about right, I think. So anyway, so the device could potentially conceal illicit materials or hidden explosives. So if I change those words, so the potentially it could hide, let's say something illegal. It's not really illegal, but let's say illegal materials or something very nasty like explosives. Yeah. Okay, so if you
Okay.
can't, so when I read this out, I think when I
Yeah.
said to this word can't, I gave a lot of emphasis to that word there because this whole sentence sort of rotates around that word there. That's probably one of the most key words in that sentence. So often you try to pick out the key word in a sentence and you give it a little bit of extra emphasis. Now, but because we're talking about illicit stuff being hidden or concealed, it's quite serious. So I really, when I got to can't, I really emphasized it. So I said, if you can't switch it on, staff can confiscate the device and even deny boarding. Although I might have given a lot of emphasis to deny boarding too, because if you're going on holiday, to deny someone that they can't get onto the aircraft because their phone doesn't work, it sounds amazing, doesn't it? So that's when they say boarding, that means getting onto the aircraft, getting onto the plane, the airplane. So
Yeah,
does that
and
make sense?
device or and deny, for example, it is the same like a cancel boarding. Yeah, they even
Yeah, same sort of meaning as cancel, yes. So the
cancel.
airport staff or the security staff, it would appear, can cancel your boarding, but you would never actually say cancel. That you don't say those two words together. You'd almost always say you might say delay their boarding while they charge the phone up or something like that. Let's say it's an hour before the plane takes off and there might be some time to charge your phone. I don't know. So they might delay it, but deny means absolutely stop, and so that you can't do it. So you obviously miss your flight in that case. So they
Yeah,
might, they might say, I suppose they might say cancel your boarding.
actually, yeah, it is important thing. Yeah,
Yeah, it's crazy important. So if you said cancel in there,
yeah,
I think the feeling, the meaning it would have for me, it sort of can, it sort of, it's a bit more general if you cancel something. So a train gets cancelled, and that's the whole of the train. But I don't get cancelled for going on the plane, on the train or the plane for that matter. And a plane might get cancelled as well, or a flight. They might say the plane itself won't be cancelled, but they might say the flight has been cancelled, though basically it is the same thing. So I suppose it's how you construct a sentence, isn't it? So you would use some words, but not others. So,
yeah, yeah. Okay.
so I might have put in here perhaps missed out one word. So they might confiscate the device and even deny your boarding or you boarding the airplane, something like that. So it's a bit sort of brief just to say deny boarding. So I think it does want you in there or your boarding of the airplane or something like that. So yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it does, it's
it is.
okay.
It
It's
is.
okay as it is, but I'm sort of being a bit picky.
Yeah,
But I don't
but
think
I'm okay.
cancel.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It is. It
cancel.
is. Yeah, deny boarding. It is means that, for
Hmm.
example, uh, they can't allow to
Yes.
pass you to the boarding. Yeah, of
Mm.
this
Mm.
reason.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yes. Yeah, deniable. Yes. So they're stopping you from getting on the flight because you've broken the rules over the phones, not having a
Yeah,
charge
but
phone.
for example, if I agree to leave my phone
Yeah.
with them. Yeah, probably they will pass me, I
There's
guess
a
so.
possibility they would, yes. But the problem there is they're saying, well, maybe it's a bomb and you're leaving a bomb with us. So there is a slight issue there, isn't there? So,
Yeah.
so they probably want you to keep it. Um, but,
Yeah, actually,
but
yeah.
in a sense, that wasn't one of those options that it was a broken. Why on earth would you want to take a broken phone with you? I mean, or broken anything? What do you want a broken one for? I want a working one. So it is a bit nutty, but I guess you might have just dropped the phone or stepped on it or something, or your luggage, the wheel of your suitcase went over it and broke the phone. That's possible, isn't it? You might want to get it fixed. So, oh well.
Well, I want to add that as
Mm.
well about hidden explosion, explosives. Yeah,
Okay,
for
yeah.
example, if someone wants to bring some explosion on a plane, yeah, it means that actually you will be someone. Should be inside this plane as well, and it is
Yeah, the person who's taking it on board, yeah, it happened to them as well. Yeah, I know that is. But then I think but there definitely are situations. There was a lady once. I think it was to do with the IRA, which was a British terrorist organization. From their point of view, they saw it as they were freedom fighters, but the rest of the country saw them as terrorists. So that was the what was called the IRA. If I just quickly put on the screen, and I think I'm right in saying, but I might be wrong. So I might be being quite wrong here. So it might have been a different organization where a man got his girlfriend to go onto a plane with some sort of a package. I don't think it was a phone. It might have been a phone. I can't remember now. And there was a device inside that package that he got his girlfriend, and clearly he didn't love his girlfriend because his girlfriend didn't know anything about it. And that is, and I might be being unfair to say credit this to the IRA, but and I think it might have been a different organization, but so it does happen. It does happen, but
yeah, terrible.
obviously it is terrible. It is disgusting, really. I mean, you could say 99% of all wars are disgusting, really, I think. Well, let's say 90%. I don't know about the all the numbers. Okay, so we've really hammered that one, I think, haven't we? But that was very interesting that one there. So I think I read those ones. So maybe do you want to read this one here?
Yeah, okay. The UK government has a reminder online. Make sure your electronic device are charged before you travel. If your device does not switch on when requested, you will not be allowed to take it onto the aircraft.
Hmm. Yeah, that was good. I like that. Well read. Very good. So any words there you want to go back over again? Any words there?
Mm, Reminder. Is it,
Hmm.
did I say it correct?
Yeah, that's great. Yes. Yeah,
Mm,
that's very good. Yeah, reminder. Yeah. So people tend to forget, and so you want to remind them so so that it comes back into their mind again. So something comes back into their memory. Reminder. You can set reminders on your phone, can't you, sometimes? You set an alarm there, and you might have
Yeah,
one word. Set the, I don't know, put on the heating or something.
yeah, and I know in the past people actually wrote a reminder on a fridge, like
Yes,
this
yes, yeah.
on a door.
Mm. I've got so many reminders on my fridge, and I don't bother looking at it anymore. So it's useless me doing that. I've got so many reminders there. Oh, the only thing would mention was the th. So it's very much duh. Oh, I think that's what you said anyway, but I might be wrong. But and if you didn't say it there, you have said it elsewhere up here. Generally, when it's th, you've said duh, duh. So do you want to? So let me just type up some th words, and I should have mentioned this earlier, really.
Yeah, it was.
So let's just do some th words. Oh, there was I think there was that word. Oh, look at my spelling. Oh, terrible spelling. There we go. That's better. I think that word came up, and
So,
it didn't come out quite right. I think maybe I'm wrong. I can't remember now. So um, let's do these three words. I like these words because I keep getting these words wrong myself. So it'll help me get these ones correct. So do you want to just run through these sets of words here? Now the reason is, of course, it's the th sound at the beginning. Do you want to just practice these words?
yeah,
I
okay.
won't help you. It's your go. It's down to you this time.
Thought
Hmm.
that that the there 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 they are.
Yeah. Okay. That's pretty good. That's pretty good actually. Yeah, I like that. It was good. Yeah. So all of these ones here, you can sort of pronounce exactly the same, exactly the same way. They all sound like there. Even
Uh,
the last one. I know with the last one you expanded out this little bit here. You sort of said they, and then you sort of got rid of that apostrophe, put a gap in, and then said put an a there. So you said they are. But so technically, it's you pronounce it. I can't spell the word now. So technically, you pronounce it like there. All three of these are there. Yeah. Although they've got different spellings, they're all the same sound, I would say. That's how most people say them anyway. Um, but I noticed
so
at the beginning, when you started off, you were a little bit unsure and you just had to remind yourself. But as you got on down to here, you were basically perfect with the TH, I would say. So well done. Very good. Very good. So let me just say the first three maybe, because these are the ones you struggled a little bit. Didn't sound quite right. So the first one I would say is thought, thought, that, that, and the. So do you want to run these top three again?
thought uh, uh, thought that the
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's it. So
uh,
that, yeah, that,
that
yeah, that,
that
yeah. I think it's sort of the th sound and an at after it. So is the th sound and just at. I think. I think. Yeah.
that
Yeah, that sounded a little bit like a that a zat, I think. So you made it a little bit like a Z there, I would say. So yeah, so it's just the tongue just sticking out between the teeth to make that weird sort of sound, or or your tongue just behind your top set of teeth, and you get almost exactly the same sound. So it's yeah, so it's a weird sort of a sound. but you never do it for a long period of time. It's just a quick it's just a quick sort of boom, then it's gone sort of thing. Yeah. Okay, that's great. So, but
Thank
it's
you.
easy to forget to do it, isn't it?
Yeah, I need to have more practice.
And I keep forgetting to remind you as well, so it's partly my fault too. So well done, that was good. So this bit seems like an advert, I think, which is very good. So let's scroll on, another photo, and I think I'll read this bit here. We're getting on for almost an hour now. So anyway, so
Yeah.
carry on here then. So bottom line, don't leave the house without charging phones, laptops, and tablets. Then it says, what should you do if your battery is at 0%? Many travelers are not aware of this rule because typically it's only enforced by airport security, not airlines. That's quite simple, isn't it? What they said there. It's very, very simple, they're saying there. Do you have anything to ask about that? I think it's reasonably clear,
I
isn't it?
want to ask about bottom line
Yeah,
and
yes, that's true. Yeah.
questions mark there. It
Mm.
is,
So the being a question mark, it's simply saying, it's kind of saying, what is the bottom line? So it's being a little
um,
bit lazy, but it's being quite clever in one sense. So it's missing out a couple of words, and it's doing that by putting a question mark at the end of the sentence. It's a little bit lazy, a bit naughty, but it's inventive, it's interesting. So I'm not against it in any way. But yeah, you've got to be a little bit careful sometimes, I suppose, if you're sort of writing a report for your boss or something. Anyway, and what does bottom line mean? Um, so really, it's simply, if I put it simply, it's something like, so overall, what is the summary? What do I need to do? What are the consequences? Something like that. Those few sort of phrases I've used that hopefully sum that up. So, what is the summary? Might be the best one. What is the summary? That makes sense.
what is the summary?
Yeah.
This
Does
means,
that make sense? Summary? I don't know.
yeah, summary. It is what it is looks like what you can take from this, yeah, for example.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. So, um, what can you take from this? Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So, I can't think another way of putting it really. So,
Mhm.
the why we say bottom line.
It is means probably the worst what can happen with you, yeah, at
Not
airport with you.
yeah, kind of in a way, yes. So, do you know when I say the word summary, do you know what the word summary means? Summary.
A summary, okay, I understand it like a conclusion of something, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's an even better way of putting it. Yes. So you don't if you have like a very long thing and you don't want to read it, but you can see at the very bottom it says summary underlined. You immediately read the summary, and that tells you pretty much most of what you need to know. And so that's what bottom line
Okay, and the
effectively. It
bottom
means
line,
almost
it
exactly the
is
same
the
thing.
same, yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
bottom
yeah. That's
line.
why I said summary. Yeah, yeah,
Ah, yeah, okay,
yeah.
okay.
Okay, so if I
It's
just looked
pretty
up
clear.
summary. So a summary of something is a short account of it, which gives the main points but not the details. Yeah, that's basically what it boils down to. Yes.
Yeah, the
So
main point.
what
Okay.
follows is a brief summary of the process. So the whole process might take 2 hours to explain or something, whereas the brief summary is 10 minutes, let's say. I'm making this up, of course.
Yeah, okay, okay, yeah.
Okay, yeah,
I
okay,
understand.
okay. But just to expand it slightly, I was just going to say the reason we say bottom line rather than something else is because if you're looking at a report, Normally on a report, there may be a whole bunch of figures and numbers, good numbers, bad numbers, but you want to know overall what do all these numbers add up to? And if they are literally adding up all the numbers, you go to the very bottom and to see what they all add up.
Mm,
Does that make sense? So you might
yeah,
have 10 plus 2 plus 9 minus
yeah,
6
yeah,
divided by 3 and a lot of other numbers. And at the very bottom, it gives the result or the
yeah.
bottom line. Does that make
Mm,
sense?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Now I understand it. Yeah,
Okay.
okay. Bottom line. It is means like the end of something. Yeah, and
Yes.
you will know. Yeah, the
Mm.
main point and the end. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
that's pretty much it, I would say. But I would just point out it's more like what is the it's still more summary. It's still more the end result. So what's the end result, I would say? Being more precise, being absolutely spot on if I can. So it's more summary, I would say. But yeah, that's okay. It doesn't, I mean, not trying to be 100% exact, so I'm happy enough with that. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, about the last lane, what you
Line.
read,
Yeah.
the last line, what you read,
Hmm.
it is only enforced by airport security, not by airport security, not airlines. It is different things, yeah.
Okay.
Airport, airport, and airlines.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they're making a distinction here. So airport security, these might be people walking around in the building and they're checking that people aren't breaking the rules. And they, as people go through doors, they might be making sure they're following all the rules. But the airlines are people like British Airways, Virgin Atlantic, um, Emirate Airlines, yeah,
Okay.
Or Ukrainian Airlines or whatever. So the company has got nothing
The-
to do with this.
Okay, it is just only inside the airport. Yeah, you have to
The physical
follow the
building,
rule.
yeah. But you have to go through airport security to get onto the plane, don't you? So in a sense, does it make a blind bit of difference? Who cares if it's the airline or the airport?
Yeah,
But the only difference here, I would say, is that if you're still in the building, you might be allowed to put it into your bag. You might be allowed to put the phone into your bag, so you're not going to use it. Does that make sense?
okay. But
They're probably going to
I
say that. Let's read the next part actually. Does that
okay.
make sense?
Yeah, yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
So I read that bit. Do you want to read this next paragraph maybe?
Okay.
Next bit. Okay. Over to
However,
you.
should you accidentally bring an uncharged item to the airport,
Hmm.
but have no time to quickly boost the battery, there are several things you can do. First, if you have not checked your bag in yet, you can repack re-
Mm.
repack it and pay to repack it and pay to have it placed in the hold.
Hmm.
There they're all checked bags. Bags are scanned and screened by security personnel before being loaded onto the plane to identify explosives, dangerous items, and contraband.
Mm. Yeah, that was good. Well read. Very well read. And your THs were pretty good as well. Your THs were pretty good as well. Okay. At least I could really hear some of them. Okay, so any words here that you want to go back over? I'm sure there is, hopefully.
Yeah. Uh, uh, repark, repark, did I say it correct? Repark,
Yeah, yeah, that yeah, repack. Repack.
repark. Better to make a first sound longer. Yeah,
Yeah.
repark.
Yeah, so I'm leaving us like a gap between the two. So because pack is its own word in a sense, and when you can stick re in front of a lot of different things. So and a lot of people say that way, re whatever it is.
Mm,
Perhaps not re remember maybe, but
oh,
redo,
yeah,
re-walk that route again where I lost my keys or something and repack. Yeah, that's it.
rewrite. Yeah,
Yeah,
you can say.
rewrite. That's good. With some of them, I might be tempted to put like a little hyphen in there because it can look confusing when you see a word and you
Yeah,
don't often
yeah,
put
a
re
bit
in front of it.
confusing.
But repack is that's reasonably understandable because it's so short, I think. Yeah, so carry on.
Repark. And being loaded,
Hmm.
loaded. Did I say it correct?
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah. So maybe we could do those couple of words then. So being loaded onto the plane. Do you want to just practice again? So being loaded.
Being
Oh, my phone just
loaded,
went off as a reminder then. So yeah, being loaded onto the plane. So you'll go. You'll go.
being loaded onto the plane.
Yeah, that's good. Just to the loaded maybe. So loaded. Loaded.
Loaded,
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, that's pretty good.
loaded. Okay.
Okay.
Then, and the last one, contraband. Contraband.
Yeah, you're saying it quite well. So contraband. So I'm saying it is contra and then
Ah,
band. Contraband.
contraband.
Contraband. Yeah, that's good. That's it. So
Contraband.
something that is illicit. Remember we said before, illicit. You could
Yeah.
also say it's probably contraband as well.
How about the words mm, bargain? If someone wants to illegally bring some stuff through the board, yeah, and he
Through the border, you mean?
through the border,
Oh
and
yeah, got
they do it regularly, and
you.
how this actually process called bargaining, no,
Yeah. So they will almost certainly call that contraband. Yes, I think
contraband,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. No, but the stuff that is being taken across the border illegally, they will call that contraband. Or the authorities will call that contraband, or illicit items, or contraband. They're the same meaning, I
How
would
about
guess. Most.
smuggling, no, or
Yeah, that is smuggling. Yeah, smuggling.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
smuggling, yeah,
cigarettes across the border is contraband. That's right.
yeah,
So
smuggling.
yeah. So if it was more serious, I think they might. Let's actually search the word contraband. So to my mind, it's important and it shouldn't be done, but it's almost as if it's not as serious as other items. So contraband refers to goods that are taken into or out of a country illegally. So it just could be anything. So yeah. So smuggling, trafficking, black marketing, moonshine. And if it's moonshine, it means it's alcohol, basically. Moonshine means
Shame.
alcohol.
Oh,
But for America, we don't really use it in the UK, but we understand what it means. So let's quickly hear
mhm.
them say it.
contraband,
Contraband. Yeah.
contraband,
Yeah, it's a bit odd how he's saying it, but yes. Okay. So it's really anything that's illegal. So yeah, so it's illegal substances, really. Okay. So in my mind, it's not quite so serious if it's contraband somehow, but yeah, I guess it is. I'm obviously wrong there, I guess.
Yeah, it's
Um,
probably depends of stuff what in inside in a bag or
yeah,
bags. Yeah, bags,
bags. Yeah, bags,
bags. Yeah,
bags. Yeah.
but the contraband it looks like a lone person wants to bring something illegally. It is not like a big stuff will pass
Mm.
the border. Yeah, in my mind, it looks like this probably.
Well,
Or no,
I
or
would say it's
yeah.
really, it doesn't really say what the amount is. So I know there's been situations where, uh, a whole delivery of bananas, let's say, so 10 tons of bananas isn't bananas, or there's just sort of 1 ton of bananas, but there's 9 tons of, let's say, of cigarettes or something else that shouldn't be in there, and it's still called contraband. So
Okay.
it's not really the amount. So even if it's a small amount, they can say, "Oh, that's contraband in your pocket, sir. You shouldn't be carrying that. You'll have a ten
Mm.
pound fine or £100 fine for that." Something like that, they might say. Um, whereas if it's with 9 tons of something, I think you'd probably go to
Mm.
prison for that amount, whoever it was, I guess, if they find the person, of course.
You know what? I heard some information. If you do big contraband,
Hmm.
you will have a low risk to get in a prison if you do if you do actually big contraband. If you do small contraband, you will have a higher risk to get in prison.
That's fascinating. Yeah. So I suppose if
Really?
it's a small amount, it means it's on you, isn't it? Or in your
Yeah,
luggage.
yeah,
Whereas if it's, say, in the bananas, well,
yeah.
who do you arrest? The bananas? There's nobody there, is there? Apart from, let's say, a lorry driver who had no idea. He presumably didn't put the contraband in the bananas. So
Yeah, but
I guess it is catching the guy, isn't it? Isn't it? Or
yeah,
the
I
people.
meaning I meant
Yeah.
about the owner of this stuff.
Oh, the owner. Yeah.
The owner, yeah, of the owner.
Yeah. So I think we're probably, yeah, okay. Yeah. So if somebody had a full, so if somebody went through security and they were stopped and they searched them, and there was one
Mhm.
person who just had, there were 10, there were one packet of cigarettes over the limit because you're allowed to have a certain number of cigarettes when you go through the
Yeah,
border. But if you have one too many, that's breaking the rules. So if this person has one too many, you think they'll be harder on them than the person whose whole suitcase is full of cigarettes.
yeah, but
No,
in my
I
mind,
don't know. I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting. I don't know. I
yeah,
don't
but
know.
Tony,
Yeah.
I am talking about the really
Oh
big
yeah. So not
contraband.
9 tons. It was 9 million tons. What do you mean? There? Be more specific. I don't quite know what you're getting at.
Yeah, because you know of why? Because you can
Hmm.
share it. If you have a big stuff and you will share half to the someone who can
Oh, you mean
protect
bribe
you.
them? You mean bribe
Yeah,
them?
bribe them. Yeah, if
Oh, I'm
you,
sure that happens. Yeah, I'm sure it happens.
yeah,
If you get caught, you go to prison though. So it's damn serious.
yes.
But I think there's a tradition, say in the in I know in Britain of not doing that. I'm sure there's always criminals. There's always people that do that. But I think there's a tradition of not doing it, of being sort of honourable somehow. Um, it's probably less and less as time goes by, and I think we are sort of becoming more prepared to do that sort of a thing. But I'm sure it happens. I'm not saying it doesn't happen or anything like that, but I'm sure it does. It's interesting though. But they do have like a list. I don't know exactly how they evaluate or how they sort of make this list, but they sort of say, oh, these are the most corrupt countries in the world. And perhaps I'm being unfair, but let's say Russia is near the top in the first top 10, and maybe another country is below them. And let's say America and Britain are in the middle. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe with that's my feeling. And I think there are certain countries which are so, let's say Japan, they're very law abiding in Japan, very law abiding. And I would say they're near the the most, you know, incorruptible. But that doesn't mean they can't be corrupted. And all, of course, don't they have the Yakuza? That's their, I'm not pronouncing, or Yakuza. And that's sort of the Japanese mafia. Yakuza is the Japanese mafia, I think. So they still have criminals. And how you tell if it's someone's in the Yakuza? I think the British tend to say Yakuza, I think, but I think they say it differently in Japan. Obviously, is if someone has a tattoo, so someone's covered in tattoos, that means they're the Japanese mafia. So
Okay.
so you need to be careful if you have tattoos. Japanese people will look down on you a little bit. Think, oh, he's a criminal. But of course, in the West, it means something completely different. I don't. Sorry about this. I keep getting distracted. So, oh, I
It's okay.
highlighted this word here because I
Yeah.
think so there's two. Well, there's two words which are similar and they're pronounced slightly differently. So this one here is personnel. Personnel.
Personal.
Yeah. So let me put in the dictionary maybe. So personnel. It might even highlight the difference here. So it might do my job for me. So personnel. So this is the so the meaning here is the personnel of an organization are the people who work for it. So the personnel of the government are, I could list a few of them. So the Prime
Okay.
Minister being, Sir Starmer. Okay. This one here is uncountable noun. Um, Personnel is the department in a large company or organization that deals with employees, keeps their records, and helps with any problems they might have. So most big businesses have a personnel department. So this is personnel, but I think you said personal. So personal
Ah,
and personnel. That's what it sounded like when you said it. So um,
probably here double N, yeah, but the other with one N.
um,
Personal,
yes, okay.
I guess so,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, I'm just looking. Okay, so let's take one of those ends out. And let's make that. And my
Personal.
spelling is so bad. So I've put this word in here. And
Mm,
so putting this word in straight away, it's come up with a whole different set of words. So just below. So one is personal accident insurance, personal account. So you might talk about your bank account at the bank or some sort of savings account. You may talk about your personal account.
yeah,
Personal account.
yeah, actually.
Okay. So let's quickly search this word. So I've taken away one of the N's and put an A in there. I've got rid of the E as well, haven't I? So, and this is the two ways of spelling the word. So this one is let's hear them say it.
personal,
Yeah. So this is personal, and the other one was personnel. So personal and personnel. So it is sort of an al and an L, al and L.
Personal.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think so
yeah,
anyway.
it's
So
different.
personal, yeah.
Personal.
Mm. Personnel. Is that right? Yeah, translating myself now. So anyway, so a personnel, sorry, a personal, I'm saying it wrong myself now. A personal opinion, quality, or thing belongs or relates to one particular person rather than to other people. So you could almost say personnel is a big group of people, almost, not exactly. Um, it doesn't really mean that, but and personal is just you on your own.
Personal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so their synonyms are own. So it's my own, you could say. It's special, special to you. It's private. If something's personal, sometimes you have it on a letter on the outside. It says personal. And so it means no one else can look at this letter. It's private, just for you. So it might have some personal information, private information in it. So personal means an individual as well as amongst some other things. That's interesting.
Okay.
So, and you might have a personal bodyguard. Personal. So it's a bodyguard just for you.
Oh, bodyguard. Yeah. Okay.
Person. So the prime minister of this
Yeah.
country almost certainly has a personal bodyguard. It's their sole job to have a gun in their pocket, and they sort of
Yeah. Yeah.
follow the prime minister around, making sure he's safe. And I think, and in America, the president has a whole fleet of people helping him, doesn't he?
Yeah. Yeah. It's true.
And they are his personal guards.
Actually,
So,
it is
so
very dangerous. Dangerous job.
yeah, yeah, they die from time to time, don't they? So, do you want to say this word? So, can you remember the difference? So, what's this one?
Yeah, I guess that at the end I need make like a null, yeah, personal.
Yeah, it's sort of in the middle, I think, the way you're saying it. So, this one here, I would say, is personnel.
Per,
Personnel.
per, personal.
Yeah, you're
Hold
still in the
on.
middle, I would say. See, I couldn't really tell which one you were saying then.
Yeah, I want
So,
to say yeah, this one.
mm,
Let me say it. This one and the next one which we covered. And yeah, uh, personal,
mm,
personal, and per,
yeah.
bully. No, the same. I don't-
No, when you're saying it there, the one you said was the last one we just talked about.
It's
So
yeah,
if you get a letter
last
and it's just for you, then it's personal. It's
personal.
personal. Yeah, personal. Or it's a personal bank account. Personal
Yeah,
bank account. So
personal bank
it's your
account.
very own bank account. It's not everyone's bank account, it's just for you. So let's put them both up. So this little phrase here is security personnel. So this meaning of this little phrase here is all the people who are dealing with the security in this case it was in the airport, wasn't
Okay,
it? And the other one is you might say this letter is marked per
personal,
oh yeah, that's it.
personal.
Per Am I spelling it correct? Oh, look at my spelling, it's laughable, isn't it? Um oh dear. Yeah, that's it. So let's just do these two sort of phrases um, that are here, these ones, just for practice. So security personnel. These are the people, a big group of perhaps 100 people that might work in the airport, all doing the
Personal.
same job, security. So security personnel. And the other one is marked personal. Marked personal.
Oh,
Do you want to give that a go?
but,
So a letter might be marked personal. So your go.
security personnel. Mark person. Mark personnel.
Yeah. To me, they sound pretty much the same, the two
Yeah,
personnels as you're
yeah.
saying them. So
It-
can you hear a difference when I'm saying it?
yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
can
hard to
hear, but
reproduce, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, I can't make my sound different,
Well,
unfortunately.
okay, so let me just say the word. We'll miss out the security or whatever it is for the moment. So this word here is personnel, personnel, and this one here is personal, personal.
Personal, personal,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
personal.
Um, I think you sound like you're doing this one fairly well. But when you're doing the top one, you're sort of in the middle between the two. You're sort of halfway
Okay,
to it. You're halfway there. So
okay.
you're getting there. It's better, I think. It is better. So let me try again. So this top one is, I've got to remind myself how to say it because I might say it wrong. Personnel. Personnel. So to my mind, it's got this sort of knell. I'm saying
Oh,
knell on the end. It
no,
sounds like knell.
personnel. Okay,
Personnel. Personnel.
personnel,
And
personnel.
this one is personal. Person. It sounds like all to me. I'm saying all on the end here. Personal. It's personal. And this one is
Okay,
nell. That's on the end. What
okay.
I'm saying. Yeah. So
Personnel
mm,
and personal.
Oh yeah, I heard a difference then. Yes, yes, I did. That sounded like you're really getting it, actually. Yes. So
Personal.
I'll do it once more, then it's your go again. So this one is personal, personal, personnel, personnel. Your go.
Personal.
Mhm.
Personnel.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's it. That's it. You've got it. I would say you've got
Oh,
it. You've got it. That's it.
thank you, Lord.
Got it. So write that one down and practice it.
Yeah, I have
So they
in
do
my,
get mixed up, these two words. There's a slight spelling difference, and, whatever. So
yeah, personal.
personnel. So a big business, let's say a couple of hundred people, would probably have a personnel department. So they deal with all the people that work there, all their problems. But the personnel department might write you a letter and it might say on the outside, personal to you, because they don't want it to go to everybody else. They might say, you're getting a pay rise, hopefully. So the
Yeah,
personnel department might write a personal letter to you. So that's to use both those words in one sentence. Okay, we'll leave it there because we're
yeah,
in danger of killing it, I think, at this moment. So, okay, and we'll go back to the photo and we'll stop the recording, I think, if I can find the
yeah,
photo. There's so many. That's a great photo, I think. So thank you very much, Getty's, the Getty people, for Getty family for having this photo library. And then we'll stop the recording. So thank you for coming. There we go.